Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast. On today's show, we have Jason Rice. He is the founder of Lot Pop. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Jason, for people who are not familiar with you and your company, give us a little thumbnail. How long have you been in the auto industry, and how long has Lot Pop been around?
I started in 1997, so did 8 years of retail. Actually started selling cars off the internet in 1998. So by 2005, I joined a company called Empower Auto, which most people will know now is vAuto. So I joined vAuto at the very beginning of its growth from 05 to 2013, and then I started Lot Pop in September 2013. So we're going on 7 years this year. And we basically take all that experience and help dealers now manage their lot.
So when someone hears of your company, what would you want them to know? Meaning, if you walking by the halls of NADA, someone sees your badge and says, "Hey, Jason, real quick, tell me what your company does." How would you answer them?
We're accountability partner, second set of eyes, and help dealerships with the used car process, new car process, and internet process. Or we'll be a meet with you weekly, give you accountability partner, second set of eyes, and a deep dive into data that you're currently not getting from your systems.
Great. And when we had a chance to talk prior to today's podcast, you mentioned that most dealers, when we look at their used car operations, are reactive, not proactive. I'm sure dealers and used car managers who are listening to today's podcast, their ears are going to perk up. Why do you say that the way used cars are being managed today are reactive and not proactive?
Well, let me kind of start with, we push what we call First 30. I do hashtag First 30. And what I've learned over those years, and again, since 05, helping dealers with inventory management, now 15 plus years, is if you want to make gross, you do it in the first 30 days. That's when the dealer car is the most profitable. When it comes to being reactive and not proactive is where I see the major holdup is in stocking. A lot of inventory management tools will tell you to not, doesn't tell you to go get a car till you need to. So if you have, let's say, compact cars, for instance, you have 5 in stock and sold 7, the system will tell you to go get 2 cars. But it's not going to tell you to go get it till you sell it. So if I sell a car today, I can't get to the auction till the next day or Wednesday. By the time I buy it, transport it to my lot on Thursday or Friday, it doesn't get in the service till that following Monday. It can go 7 to 14 days before that empty slot gets filled. And so by looking at it more proactively, what we've done is proactive indicators. So if I looked at your compact cars, maybe you sell them at 95% in 30 days. Let's say in 30 days, your average compact car sells in 30 days at 95%. Well, again, your system will say you got 5 in stock, you sold 7, go get 2. I'm going to say you have 5 in stock, you sold 7, but 3 of the 5 that you have are older than 30 days, priced more aggressive than 95%. So statistically, those should be leaving soon. So don't just go get 2, go get 5 and get ahead of it. Because what happens is dealers have a big weekend or a big week. They end up needing cars. When they need cars, they go buy at abundance, which then typically they pay up for it because they need it. And then their turnaround time, let's say their service and photo department's used to handling 5 or 10 cars a day. Well, now I've got 20 dumped on them because I had one big weekend. Now all of a sudden I got to scramble and go buy. And instead of buying 5 or 10, I'm buying 20 because we had a big weekend. Then I'm dumping that into the turnaround time that's used to half that load. And then it slows down our fresh sale rate because cars now take, instead of 3 to 5 days to get photos, they're taking 7, 10, and 14 days, and then I get soft. And that's where dealers go through that sales cycle. So to go back to my point on First 30, that slows down your fresh sale rate because now you gotten jammed up, now you gotten behind, and you can't sell it while it's fresh, which then pushes those cars through, and now we got an age or gross problem. And dealers go through this cycle multiple times a year. time and time again. And so what we train dealers is to get proactive, get ahead of it, and stock more consistent levels because we know these cars are leaving soon, and let's look for the replacement now. And so we lead them to that.
I don't have experience selling used cars at retail. So what you're saying makes complete sense, but let me just step back. If someone's having a big used car push weekend, they may have an event, they may have a lot of publicity, and they're like, hey, our goal is to sell 40 or 50 cars. Are they not proactively normally going out to auction and buying in advance of that to backfill in advance? Or is it more like you're saying, hey, everyone's high-fiving that the weekend we hit, 40 or 50 used cars, and now there's this huge, want in the used car inventory? I mean, is it really just that simple?
Yeah, I mean, dealers will do their big mailer sales and big events here and there, and they do prepare for those. They usually stock up for those, but they sometimes not. It's the after fact that they're not ready for. Now they got to revamp up. So if they know they're coming in a big weekend, they want to sell 50, they make sure they stock for that, and then after fact, then they're scrambling again. But again, more times than not, I'm talking about daily operation, because our biggest thing, if a dealer carries 100 cars, I want them to sell 100, and I want them to get gross by selling them in the first 30. So that's the things that we're doing. If they can get 60 to 70% of their sales in the first 30 days of owning that car, they'll have great gross, and then the volume comes. So as we get dealers' volume up, the biggest struggle they have is feeding the beast, and they get scrambling and they get behind, and then on buying, and then they get behind on turnaround time. And so our goal, at least on our end, is not only increase your volume, but to keep the gross going and get that fresh sale rate going. We need to be stocking proactively and getting ahead of it. Because again, dealers will have those sales events, but those are a few times a year. And they'll stock up for it, but then it's the after fact. And then it's the every month, every week and every month, they're not doing those type of events. And again, that's usually why they have an event, because they got behind and they have a big bunch of age problems that they want to blow out, and then they have a big event.
Okay, so Jason, let me ask you a question. I love the idea of proactive signals to tell dealers, hey, based on the pacing of your cars and what I could see, you need to go out ahead of this and have a more consistent workflow, inventory levels in the dealership. I've seen huge fluctuations and never understood why. This is helping me understand that. But the dealers who are listening to today's podcast will always be skeptical, because they've been approached by hundreds of people promising the world from their products. So let's name some names, if you can. Do you have one or two dealers that have recently gone on the platform, that have been disciplined to use it? And what type of lift in their turn, what type of lift in their profitability could a dealer see 6 months later? Or is it 3 months? Is it 9 months? What would you tell dealers who are somewhat skeptical but interested?
Well, I'll tell you, our stores that see the biggest spike, or how fast, it depends on how much age they have and how fast they'll pull that Band-Aid off, because their gross won't come until the age is gone. And if they don't attack that and clear that out first, and if it takes them 3 months to do that, then it takes us 3 months to see results. If it takes them 9 months, it'll drag it out. So the sooner they do that, and I have dealers that done it in a month and a half, and within 30, 45 days, boom. It's fair to say there's testimonial videos on our website. So Lasco Ford's a comparison. He's on the video, so I can share his. He went from 14 turns, which he thought was a good operation, to now running 19 turns. Carrying in the video, you'll hear him say he carried 190 units, selling 250. Carrying 190, selling 250, and his gross went up 400 a copy. But he says it's a challenge. I have another store, Brickell Honda, in downtown Chicago, who's landlocked, and they have 9 stores. Again, he's a testimonial on us, but he had 50 cars selling 50 and wasn't sure if we can help him. Well, that guy is now selling 70 or 80 off the 50, and he is up. I think the last time I heard, and this was in November, he was going to make $600,000 more in his used car department this year than he did last year, and he spent 18 grand with us. So it's like a 3,000 return in ROI on an investment with us. So those, and again, the good thing is those are typical results with a store that's dedicated and puts the blinders on. I had to have 2 meetings with that Honda store, and in the first month he went sideways on me a little bit, meaning he didn't want to price the way we were talking and things like that. And I had to just trust me. I said, I could be cutting my throat off here. Just trust me. And now again, he's selling 70 or 80 off of 50, and he's profitable. So there's a testimonial video on our site with other stories too, dealers having 20, 30 turns, almost too fast. But again, the biggest struggle is feeding the beast and staying on top of that.
Yeah, and Jason, I love that. I know Alex Andreas from Brickell Honda. I know the Brickell organization, great, well-run organization, and the fact that you mentioned them, I know they're good operators. So this is a great example of someone who's a good operator who can get better using LotPop. Now, when a dealer signs up for your service, they're getting that coaching, that accountability. So you're going to review their inventory with them, make sure they understand some of the actions that are suggested. But I saw 3 elements to the software: Lot Score, Lot Party, which sounds like a lot of fun, and Lot Stock. Can we go through just at a high level, how do you describe Lot Score, Lot Party, and Lot Stock as tools to help dealers sell more cars and increase their gross?
Well, let's start with Lot Score, because that's our foundation. That's when we meet with our dealerships every week. I knew I couldn't just consult a dealer on what they needed to do. Somebody had to make them accountable. So that was a whole program. Let's start out meeting every week. And then we pull data out of their systems, whether it's First Look or vAuto, or which is First Look, which is Max Digital, or vAuto or Dealers Link, or whatever their inventory management tool, Inventory Plus. We'll pull the data, autotradercars.com. And I was tracking all these different data points. And until I wanted to dumb it down for myself and my guys handling stores and the dealership, I took about 30 of the key metrics and said, okay, I know we got all these hundreds of charts that we're tracking and trending, but here are the key 30 that we need to keep an eye on, and here's what they need to be looking like. So we put a scoring system in there, and we scored out those metrics. So that's our lot score. That finds the holes in their inventory. So we know every week what they need to work on. And that way the dealer looks at their inventory the same way every week. My reps look at their inventory the same way I do. So that's lot score. Once we find the holes, examples would be carry to sale rate by age buckets. How much do you have? How much are you selling? Carry to sale rate by segments for stocking purposes. What cars are causing us, if we got a higher average investment, what cars are causing those problems? So with that score, we know what cars do we need to attack, and we help them change prices. So we use that each week. We use the data to back up our decisions. We don't change prices just to change prices. And that's lot score. Lot stock then is to dig deeper. Dealers always struggle with what to stock. A lot of these inventory management tool has market data, but very little historical data. So we said, well, we can do that. And so we took all the historical data down to the year, make, model, and trim. We know how fast they sold, how many you sold, what price point did they sell at, what percentage of market they sold at, how'd you own them. And we know if you need that year, we know if you need that segment, we know if you need that make, so we can help them be more educated on what to stock historically, and then take that data, put it in your inventory management tool to get the market data and balance yourself out. And again, to be proactive, that lot predictors in there too, to predict what cars are about, what you did sell, what you're about ready to sell, and what to replace them with historically. Use that to put it in your inventory management tool to get the market data. Lot Party just started. Again, with our we've been doing this data, pulling it manually each week in our Google Sheets. We've flipped on the software and pulling data daily now. So the Lot Party, it's what we called at the dealership when I was selling cars. We had a lot party. That meant we got everybody on the team and moved cars around and stirred up the lot. So that's our theme here. Underneath our lot party tab, we're going to show you the price changes that you need to do today based on all that trends. We're going to show you the cars that we caught missing or photo issues with. Let's say you're missing a nav photo and sunroof photo. So every day we'll give you, hey, fix these photo problems. Here's your price changes. And then we're also, right now we're dealing with VIN solutions, but we're pulling data out of CRMs and showing them the leads that they need to work. Example is we could say, give me any leads that are 0 to 30 days old that we haven't called or emailed in 5 days that are still active on cars that are in stock. And I showed you prior to the call, here's a lead that's 20 days old. We haven't called in 17 days, haven't emailed in 16 days. And they can click right on that lead and go see what the heck's going on. So Lot Party is all about, let's stir things up. Here's the leads you can do. Here's the price changes you need to do. Here's the things you fix on a daily basis. So they can do it without waiting once a week for our call.
And Jason, I will tell you that with the turnover that dealers have, and maybe not the senior used car buyer, but with the turnover that I see in dealership management, my brain is thinking by having these tools that actually look at the dealer's own data, their own decisions, and scoring it, and then reviewing it each week with the dealership, it almost feels to me that this is a true partnership with the dealer principal who knows maybe different people are going to be moving in and out of roles, but he can put a process in place to make sure that the turn rates are, keeping the dealership profitable. I don't think I've heard of other products that are doing this. Is this kind of a unique solution in its own class?
Oh yeah, and I remember, you guys built out some reports, right? That you guys done internally with your companies, where you pull out Google, all these different reports to collaborate it together for a dealer just to be able to log into one system. That's kind of what we're trying to do here. Is I don't care what inventory management tool, what CRM you are, we're going to collaborate those tools to help that manager know what to do on a daily basis. But to your point, yes, the dealer knows there's consistency there. If he misses a manager or manager quits, we can replace and put him back into this process that he knows is going to manage and monitor. Matter of fact, Lasco, it was funny, 6 months into their service, I bumped into Matt Lasco at NADA, and he says, "Hey Jason, it's funny, my managers wonder, now that we're clean and we're running good, do we have to do these lot pop calls anymore?" He said, "No, I need them to give us that second set of eyes and accountability partner. I want them to be there." So, and then as he loses a manager and he replaces it with another, we don't miss a beat, and we're still staying in the process. So I don't know of any other companies doing it. Again, I'm trying to be the chameleon, just match up with whatever you're doing. I don't refer you to products. I'll tell you if they're good. If you want to hear, seems like a good tool. Here, First Look's a good tool, call them, see them. vAuto's a good tool, call them, see them. If they like it, we can work with you. I don't care. I just want the data. And then we're going to sit there and meet. And again, accountability partner, second set of eyes, and roll up our sleeves and do the work with you.
Jason, I had spent some time with the early product development of LotLinks, which is a VIN level advertising tool. And the product has gone through a number of significant changes with machine learning and really huge data sets looking at dealer pricing. And I remember speaking with Len Short, who's the founder of LotLinks, and he made a point which resonated with me, but I really haven't heard too many other people talking about it. And this goes to the point of price reductions. It's very common that dealers reduce price as the car ages because they feel that's the only lever they have to get this car to sell. And yet, when the car comes on the lot, the price that's chosen is typically a market price, a price at which they feel that they can transact and make profit. Yet the car sits for 30 days, and over those 30 days, the price drops and drops and drops. His point was, why would you drop the price if you believed in the price to begin with? Why would you drop the price if you could get more of the people who were interested in that car to look at the car? Meaning using market data, shopper data, search data to drive more specific people who are looking for a gray F-150 to that F-150. Why wouldn't you put 30, 40, 50 bucks in paid advertising to drive those people to that car when most dealers are saying, well, yeah, over 30 days, I'm dropping it 500, 700 bucks. What's that thinking? Is it the belief that marketing can't do that? Or is it just ingrained that over time, we have no choice, that price is the only lever?
Well, yes, I believe that if you throw money at a marketing to the right people can get you better results. So I'm not debating that. I believe price is going to be 1, 2, or 3 to the shopper, but as they come into the store, it becomes 6, 7, 8 on their list. As they shop, I've heard people, well, price doesn't sell car, service, this, and this sells it. I think once you can sit down and have that conversation with the customer and show them the service drive, show them your warranty, show them what kind of work you've done, your facility and your staff and how you take care of them, what their trade is worth, F&I, the payment becomes more important than the price. But as they're shopping, price becomes very important. And then two is the market moves. So if I said, yeah, you know what, 100% of the market is fine, I'm going to start this car at 100% of the market today. Well, 2 and 3 weeks from now, that 100% can move to 103 and 104%. So if anything, if 100% was fine 2-3 weeks ago and you haven't had traction, you got to at least get back to that 100%. So you got to drop your price just to get back to where you were. But my point is, well, if 100% didn't work 3 weeks ago, why do you want to go back to 100%? You might have to. And then the third thing is we've seen it now, and I have all the trends to show it. We look at each age bucket. So let's say by 15-day increments. So let's say 31 to 45 day old cars and their current inventory. And then we watch their pricing in each one of those age buckets. And if last week I was priced at 93% on my 31 to 45 day old cars, last week I was at 93%, and this week I'm at 94%. My pricing went up. Guess what happened to their sales in the 31 to 45? Because we watch every week, we look at what they've sold over the last 2 weeks by age bucket. So I can see as their pricing went up in that age bucket, their sales dropped. Verbatim, time and time again. No matter what chart where I'm looking at, if pricing went up, sales went down. Pricing went down, sales went up for those age buckets. It's a huge indicator. I can flow it in every single dealership at every chart. So, but that's looking at 31 to 45 day old bucket. There could be 30 cars in there, right? So some of them caused it, some of them didn't. You got to figure out which ones did, which ones didn't, and then attack the ones that did. And so I know price is a big indicator to sale rate. I watch it in the trends. I know it is to a shopper, maybe not to a buyer. And what I mean, when they're shopping, price is going to matter. Mm-hmm. But when they come in to buy it, it won't anymore. But yeah, whatever you can do, if you don't have to drop the price, you can either put money on the hood, put money in search engine marketing, put money on hood, meaning like a spiff for a salesperson, say, hey, $500, anybody sell this car today, give it to your staff instead of a customer. That might help it. Maybe redo the photos, redo the descriptions, or like you said, put some SEM money behind it and make a Google ad page on it or SEM money behind it and get people on it. Either way, you got to, what we look at, either way, you got to do something, because I look at it and say, hey, it's a 2017, which you have too many. It's a Ford, you have too many. You're heavy in your trucks. It's been 2 weeks. You haven't changed the price. It's not converting on AutoTrader and Cars.com. What do you want to do? You got to do something. And if you're already doing the SEM and you're already doing a Facebook ad, then it's got to be your price more likely.
Right. And what I'm thinking, Jason, now that I understand the product better, and I, made a commitment at the beginning of this year to bring new products on the podcast that I'm not even familiar with, but I know that dealers are loving, and you've gotten a lot of praise from people that I respect. What I'm thinking in the back of my mind for my clients that I consult with, the Lot Pop plus Lot Links would make an amazing combination because it's really approaching things from two different angles. Lot Links is taking the demand, increasing demand and visibility, and you're taking care of the management of the lot itself and the merchandising holes, pricing issues. And you're absolutely right. If the dealer is using a platform and the car's still not moving, they got to do something, right? So if your demand side is solid and your market pricing and feedback loop is solid, I think that would probably create the ideal turn rate.
Exactly. No, and that's the thing. There's companies like Rapid Recon with turnaround time that track that. I think would be asset for us to be able to have that as part of our. And to your point, I've talked to a few people at Lot Links, and I'm trying to figure out a way, man, if we can have that data in there too, not just the AutoTrader, Cars.com conversion stuff, but also, where is the traffic coming from? Is there been other things than what we're seeing? Because again, if this is, and the more solid they are at that, like the Lot Links and the marketing and stuff, and then their follow-up process, the more solid they are with that stuff, then I know it's probably a price problem. If photos and descriptions are good, our marketing's good, we handle the leads when we get leads. If that's all good, then it comes down to, okay, price is the issue. Then we got to make this car more appealing to get it off the lot. And then again, if the market moves 3%, I got to at least move with the market.
Yep.
If the activity is not there. So yeah, I mean, there's multiple reasons why price, but I hate going. I always tell dealers, prove me wrong. I'm going to tell you why I want this car price change, but you please prove me wrong. Tell me you've gotten it up. Tell me you've got an appointment. Prove me wrong. If you can't, then you got to listen to me.
So Jason, let's talk some tactical things now. If a dealer is listening to today's podcast and wants to give Lot Pop, access to their inventory and they want your coaching, how does that work? How long does it take to onboard a dealer?
Well, we can get a dealer. So we have a free inventory evaluation on our site. Anybody wants to do that? I like not just doing demos, but going into their system, finding holes and because they can do a lot of the stuff that we do by themselves. I just know guys don't have the time to do it, manpower, knowledge. So I'll show you everything you need to look at and track and what the holes are in our demo. So a dealer can just do that and hopefully grab some stuff. But two, if they decide to do our services and they send us logins, we can get you up and going on a phone call, our initial phone call within 7 days, now we still got a lot of work to do to get all the data set up, and we go through and touch every photo and description that they have and make sure there's not, if it said it had a sunroof in the description, there's a picture of it, or if there's a picture that it's in the description. So we got that set up to do, but we can get up and going within 7 days. And again, the results, I've shared some screenshots where we've doubled guys' sales within 2 or 3 weeks. Now, again, the gross might not be there if we're trying to work out of an age problem, but if they're already our best stores are already good operators, we just made them great, or even great operators a little bit better. So those are typically our best stores. It's the guys that's 20-30% age. If they're committed and ready to clean things up, it'll go as fast as they want to. If they want to cut, rip the Band-Aid off in 30 days, get rid of the age, we want to retail out of all that age and not wholesale out of it. Retail out all that age, take the beating. The sooner they get better, the sooner they do that, the better. If they drag it out over months, they're going to hear complaints about grosses sucking. We're dropping the prices too much, and we're not making any money. And you guys have us dropping prices $500, and it's not that. It's they never got rid of the age. So those are usually the tougher ones. We usually do a 3-month agreement, and then month to month after that. But now with dealers with age, if they have over 15-20% age, we do a 6-month agreement, because again, we're at the mercy of how fast they want to pull the Band-Aid off. It's not my money. It's easy for me to say, hey, go sell it and lose $3,000 because it's not affecting my paycheck. So we tend to drag anybody with an age issue. We do a 6-month agreement, and then month to month after that. I like the month to months because I want us to show up and do our work too. But I also give us 90 days to prove our point. Again, if you have an age problem, give us 6 months to not only prove our point, but to show you're committed to clean this up and get it moving.
Well, Jason, I think that's fair. What I'm hearing, it's all about commitment and a vision for a new way to manage the inventory. You mentioned some free tools. What's the best website for someone to see those video testimonials, see those inventory scoring tools you mentioned? How can people get in touch?
Lotpop.com. I think a lot of asset comes from my Facebook, and it's JASEN Rice. There's an ON out there that's not really me. JASEN Rice, Jason Rice on Facebook, but my YouTube channel, Lot Pop Inc. on YouTube. There's 160 video tips. I mean, my last video. If you just listen to what I tell you in that last video and did what I tell you in that last video, your inventory would look a lot better. So there's just a lot of quick tips. I usually do a Facebook Live, and then I download that and put it on YouTube. So that's why I said about Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, if not, look at our YouTube channel, subscribe there, and you get to at least watch 5-6 of the videos. You get to kind of understand the mindset that we do. I give all those tips out for free. Again, you can do it yourself. It's usually the discipline and consistency that dealers lack to do sometimes, and that's where we come in when we're doing weekly calls and making you accountable, and then doing the work for you. That's the consistency part and the accountability. So lotpop.com or YouTube, and they're on podcasts too.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for spending time with me. I spend a lot of my writing on the marketing side of the business with digital retailing, but for 2020, I wanted to make sure that I connected dealers with what I consider superstars, people whose moral compass is pointing north, who are reliable and delivering value to dealers. So congratulations for all the success you've had. And I look forward to seeing you grow with your new dashboard and software tools in 2020. If this is the first time you're listening to one of my podcasts, you'll be pleased to know that every Monday I release a new podcast with an automotive leader or innovator. You can listen to these podcasts on the iTunes store under podcasts. Just look up Passion Podcast. But you also can find these podcasts on YouTube, on Libsyn, on Spotify, SoundCloud, pretty much anywhere where podcasts are syndicated. And I look forward to spending time with our listeners in 2020. I got some great shows coming up, especially some bombshell news. Can't wait for NADA because, there's going to be a lot of interesting announcements made there that will follow up. So thanks so much for spending time with Jason and I look forward to spending time with you on a future podcast.